Welcome to the Beacon by Soul 33, teachings for your past, present and future. Good morning, everybody. It is the 9th of September here in Auckland, New Zealand, and it's another Monday mantra, and I've got a lot to share with you. Just remember, if you're listening to this on the Beacon app, on YouTube, on Spotify, it is a small business and an app that we're trying to grow for you. And all your support means so much. We've had a lot of new members come on. I'm so grateful for that. Thank you for being a part of my journey as well and enabling me to guide you in the most practical way possible. So when you like, tag, share, subscribe, let people know that the app exists. It really helps me to create more resources for you. Now, as I've told you, I will always show up here just being myself because that's all I can do, and I'm committed to this. And I'll be here as long as I'm alive physically. I'm feeling quite sad because my grandmother passed away over the weekend on Saturday night, and so all of Sunday was spent kind of processing that. So I will be taking some time for myself this week. But it really made me understand what the Monday mantra was about because I had a very, very unusual week, and I'm looking forward to unpacking that with you. So I apologize for maybe the slight melancholy in my voice, but it is what it is. We all have things that go on, and we're all going to just carry on moving forward and learning from those experiences and healing from those experiences. When we look at last week's Monday mantra, because as you know, those of you who've been following for some time, I like to do a recap of the previous Monday mantras because it's a flow-on effect. It's not that it's just about last week. It's going to affect us this week and beyond. And so that's why if you've missed out on some Monday mantras or you want to catch up, go and listen to them and see how they're applying. But these are soul progression lessons. They're not predictions for you. They're to look out at what life is asking of you because that's what we want to be doing, not moving aimlessly through life, but understanding what the opportunities are for our souls to progress. When we look at the Monday mantra last week, I had set it at unity of soul and self is reflected in my experiences. Unity of soul and self is reflected in my experiences. And I understand, I'm just going to use the example of my grandmother. I lived with my grandmother for many years as a small child and had a very, and will continue to have a very strong bond with her, even though she's in spirit. But it's interesting because herself didn't want to be here anymore, and I knew that. She was this type of woman that was WhatsApping and Facebooking right up until, she passed away. And I found this really fascinating too. She was in her 88th year, and this year is the year of the 8. And in New Zealand, she died in Malaysia where she lives. It was already the 8th of September. So all the 8s lined up, the infinity. And this unity of soul and self reflected in our experiences, it was either going to show up in ways that were going to be showing us the disjointedness of things or the synchronicities of how we are needing to work together with our egoic self to be able to progress. Being in the 9th month of the year, we're already very close to the end of the year. And if we look back at what the energy of this month is about, it's about coming back to self-belief, belief being restored. And my belief has been tested this last week in big ways. It's like we're being shown this polarity of the world. And I literally was talking about this yesterday as I was, going through all the memories of my grandmother, and I still will be, obviously, for a long time. But it's kind of like I've seen so much amazingness, and then I've seen the absolute opposite polarity of things too. I started the week on Tuesday night being awoken to spirit, showing me the most amazing portal. Now, this doesn't happen very often for me in waking state. And I'm going to be recording a meditation about that portal because I know when I'm shown things, it's for you too. And this portal was like, are you going to walk through this portal and get what you need and come out? Are you going to be bringing in the soul self to unite with your personality self so that we can actually start cleansing the overload, the stimulus of things that are actually overloading us? I'm going to, without giving too much detail away, because I don't want to talk about who, but I'm going to tell you this. I had the portal happen, and now I live in New Zealand, right? And police are not walking around with guns, let alone machine guns. I had 7 policemen in my house with machine guns. And I happened to be not working that day. I happened to having to be at home because I had a plumber coming over. I had to talk to the police. And the reason why the police were here was because somebody had felt they had seen people here on our property, somebody within the vicinity of our little neighbourhood had believed that they had seen somebody on our property with weapons that were wanting to attack. Now, this ended up being a very sensitive situation of of a delusion. Now, there's a really fine line between delusion, illusion, and being psychic, because I had so much spiritual activity going on last week that I believe that the person who saw this happening was seeing the polarity, the darkness in life, the darkness that the world has, which is why we are all here on this journey together, and why I'm here doing the work that I do is to pull us all up into the light. And I was shaking and crying watching this happen because I saw things and felt the energy that I didn't want to see. I had to talk to the police about what I believed was going on and why this may be happening. But I understood. It wasn't that anybody was crazy. It was because they could see something that other people can't see. There's this real transcendent energy at the moment, and it's going to be affecting everybody differently, because last week I was dealing with murder cases, I was dealing with curses, it was all the light and the dark of everything. And so when we get overstimulated, we can, like people who have delusions or manic episodes or anything like that, they're not crazy. They are seeing a different realm and a different reality. And it can be very overwhelming. So things like that are happening, and it was right in front of my eyes for me to see. We had the new moon that we started off last week, and I knew it was a cleansing new moon. Like some people may be having like bladder issues, needing to cleanse. Like it's really important. And I'm going to give you another example. Like I like to share with you as much as I can. People are very sensitive at the moment. And I always say to my clients, I'm not going to talk about, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but it's not necessarily going to be what you want to hear. And there was a situation last week where I'd done a mini reading for someone, and mini readings are 3 brief questions. I don't go into big things because my work is to trigger, it is to confront, it is to push, it is to look at what you don't know and what you can't see, because my job is to extract that. And someone was very upset because I had said something that they didn't realize was there, and that had prompted them to have to think about it. But that in itself is showing me that the soul and the self are reflected in that experience of being upset, of finding out that, oh my goodness, that is there for me to deal with. Yes, because we're now being shown what we need to deal with. Like, I know why everything happened in the week for me as it did. And I've got the ability to see that. But in our lives, we're getting triggered by a lot of things, and it's important that we look at it from this union of going through the portal and seeking that transcendent divine guidance and the ability to see beyond the physical, to come back to convert that energy into what we need and what we want to receive without the expectations of how. Releasing expectations. This is so important, especially with my work. If people come with preconceived notions, wanting me to convince them, it's not going to work, because my job is to look at what you don't know, what is there that we need to clear and understand. But beyond the spiritual experience, we will be needing to review our expectations. Like, I think I might have told you, I had a vision of my grandmother dying 2 days before she went into hospital, and I knew it wasn't going to be good. And I've been adamant to my mum. I said, this is not going to end well, and well in terms of like she's not going to be walking out of there. And it's happened in its own way. It's happened in a way that she died very, very peacefully. But we all released our expectations of how, because God knows, right? Because it's not our job to know exactly how and when. But it's a space that's being created. It's like, what is remaining in our life that we are wanting now to invite in new things? What are our priorities? With everything that has happened last week, from portals opening to my beloved grandmother passing away, to seeing the trauma that is happening when we can be overstimulated, and having police in my house with machine guns, I had a download, a massive spiritual download about a place I need to go to. And it's about prioritizing the rebirth of all the beings here on earth. I know it sounds so woo and so, strange, but there is this rebirth of everything. Like, you think about, my grandmother's passed away. Her soul's gone home, wherever she's needing to go. But it's giving another soul an opportunity to come here and experience what they need to experience. And with the cleansing and purifying energy, it's like her body now that was struggling has been left behind, and the soul now is gone. And it's an emotional release too, because it's like that water for me, when I dream about water, which I do often, it's something emotional that's coming up. And I did dream about water a few days before she passed away. This organization that I'm talking about, it's a deep dive into specific areas, physical or non. It was been a very deep week. So what has been making up your life? How is it uniting your soul and self, which means, but it might be showing you the discrepancies and the distance between your soul and self, because you're getting situations that you don't understand or that are triggering you, and that's when you need to find the unity of it. And we're needing to pace ourselves, creating this union that we do need. Like, people always think we don't need an ego. We do need a little bit of it. And I'm not talking about ego in terms of like, oh, I'm so wonderful. We need a bit of ego to be motivated to figure this out. And I can't remember who I was talking to last week, but I think I keep saying to this person, your ego is too inflated. You need to let me in. And that's not by thinking that you know everything, because I don't know everything, but I do know that I've put here to help a lot of people, and I didn't ask for these people to find me, they just do. And it's really important that we look at these lessons that Spirit gives us. Me too, I'm on this journey with you, to pace ourselves, to look at the unity between soul and self, to really come back to, if we are being tested in our belief, because often what death does is it makes us stop believing, oh, someone died, this is so painful. I weirdly didn't know how I was going to respond to my grandmother's death. But when I got the message, I was so calm, but my ego cried. My spiritual self knew that this is what she wanted. She wanted to be out of the body, wanted to be out of here. But my ego self is going, oh my God, I've lost someone that truly loved me, not because of what I do or what I see, or, they really just loved me for just being their granddaughter. And so that's the part I feel like I've lost from the egoing self. But the spiritual self, my soul self, the ability to be able to see, has made me see how we need both. We need the emotional cleanse, and we need to understand that sometimes things happen not because we want them to, but we need them to happen to come back to what we need to prioritize when we are living, when we are in our body. And, this following our voice and expressing ourselves authentically. Like, when I work with clients, I know those of you who've worked with me will know that I will just get straight in there and I will be like, right, I know I'm confronting you, but that is authentically who I am. Because don't think that I don't get difficult things in my life too. I do. But I can handle the truth. I can handle really big truths. And I love that that is my gift for people, is for you to come to me and hear it all. And it's all laid out on the table and it's going to trigger things, but it's all for the greatest good of this union of your soul and self, and allowing the ego not to guide you anymore, but to leverage your soul and to be able to have those experiences. And I just saw huge synchronicities from my week, starting off with portals opening up, to a friend of mine had a psychic reading with a reader who had a message for me. So after the portal opened up the next morning, I got a message from her going, oh my God, she talked about you and said this. And I was like, it's wow, this is amazing. But this is that collaboration, the Three of Pentacles. It's like the foundations we've built. Everything is working together right now. Even if you can't see it, I can see it. I shared a post on my Instagram about, when I was growing up, I felt really, really unseen because, I grew up in a place where there were all Caucasian people. I was the only brown kid at school. And I know that so many people have had experiences of discrimination. And, I always thought hiding is safer. Like, all the stuff that's coming up with PR around me, podcasts and things. It's not because I've got this big ego, like, oh, I need to be seen. It's because Spirit is putting me in these situations to share what I learned through them so that I can help you. And as a kid, there's just been so many instances where, I've been reviewing memories of my childhood, and then obviously my grandmother's been such a big part of that. It's like, being nearly run over on purpose with holding hands with my mum, and not being liked because of the skin color I had, not being wanted to be touched because my skin color might rub off on people, And there's still triggers for me that come up around, oh, how are people going to receive me when I have really weird work too? It's not like I'm a lawyer that, it's just, nothing is what I thought it would be. I didn't expect any of this, and I'm glad I didn't, because it's so much more amazing than what I thought. But why I wrote this is because, we got some hate mail last week too. I mean, it's very rare that we get it. And this person's basically saying all these awful things about me, and you don't even know me. So it's kind of like, it's really interesting, like the feedback of what inflates us and what deflates us, and coming back to that place of, is this the unity of my soul and self, or is my ego being triggered by something that needs further looking at? And for me, it was a combination of both. I needed to address both of those things. It's the alignment that's needed to come back to our true essence. And, another friend had reached out to say she was racially attacked last week, and this person's in their 40s and you hadn't had that experience. So all this old escalated stuff is coming out, where it's like that channel of water is like pushing us through. You've got to go through it. There's no other way to navigate this rather than just going through it. And I always think all the rejection that I face in all ways, it's coming back to making me realize that it's helped me align. It's helped me align with not having a false sense of self. I don't put myself on a pedestal, nor do I want to be. I'm just always tell you, I'm just myself, doing what I'm here to do. And I know that we are all challenged by the ego sometimes, and we all have people rejecting us at some point or not seeing us for who we are. But it's really now to connect with our true essence of knowing that people can't even see themselves, let alone see us, and therefore we just need to understand that some people are not ready to see us. Some people are not ready to hear the true essence of what they need to be working on. And things are coming in to destabilize us and to trigger us and to cause insecurity, because this month of September is all coming back to us needing to have that restoration of belief. And that doesn't mean it. I've had moments of last week, especially. We're going to have to see how this week goes. Of like, wow, everything I've been working towards to build, the thousands and thousands of dollars and time I put into the app. Like, I'm seeing people enjoying the app now and sharing it. It's like amazing for me. But then there's death, and it goes, okay, this is what life's about. I'm leaving a legacy. I don't know about you, but that's what I want. So whatever is coming to destabilize you, observe to see how it's actually making you come back to yourself. It was so amazing, though. I don't know whether you saw on my Instagram, I did put it on the homepage of the app, the beautiful crescent moon the waxing moon with Venus. Now, I didn't know it was Venus at the time, but I put it up on my Instagram and Facebook asking those of you, and many of you are coming back who are more astrologically inclined, saying it's Venus. And I realized why I needed to know Venus was there, because I wasn't actually outside looking at the moon. I was called outside, come and have a look at the moon. So I took my phone and I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And my phone actually took the picture well for us to enjoy it. But because there's been so much spiritual activity, when I looked at the moon, Spirit showed me an archer, an archer with a bow and an arrow. And they said to me, so are you going to hit or are you going to miss? And this is what's causing havoc in our lives, because some people are hitting the target and some people are not. So think about what that means for you. My head has been very, very light. There's been a lot of eyesight activity, and this may be something that you are experiencing too, but it's like everything is being drawn in and out of earth faster and higher than usual. Like my grandmother apparently went to sleep at 9:30 and by 10:30 she was gone. And so it was like in and out. Apparently she was fine. So I find it interesting that I wrote all that not knowing what it's about, but for me, I know what it's about now. We're needing more stability. We're needing grounding to unite with the experiences that we're presented with. Our extended meaning of the Monday mantra. We can work with our ego if we're willing to look beyond it and see ourselves for who we are. Our ego doesn't always want to help us. It wants to keep us restricted to what we think. We cannot think in the spiritual work. If I sat and thought about everything before I sat and spoke with a client, nothing would come out of my mouth. It comes through me. The energy of you needing to know what you need to know, not what you think you need to know, what you think you already know about yourself. I don't know anything about myself. The more I do this, I'm like, wow, I'm learning so much more. And it's in that space of not knowing, not restricting ourselves, not thinking that I know everything, that I learn more. You have to be in that space to grow. And our soul is what expands us. If we work together with our soul, it begins to show us the way we can expand. And that may mean facing what triggers us. And then the death of my grandmother. So, the ego holds many memories. Our soul does too. The memories our ego holds are the ones like of my childhood, being hurt and being rejected, that little brown girl that was needing some reassurance in herself last week, that being who I am is enough. And I know that lesson is for the collective too. That's why I shared it. And Venus is very much part of why I realized that I got the channeled message for our Monday mantra this week, which I wrote over a month ago. Remember, I'm always here for you, no matter what's going on in my life. I do my best, but I am only one person. And this is why I have the app, because I know that I can touch many of you through the app in an inexpensive way for you at only $60 a year, because I can't see everybody as quickly as everybody wants me to. This is why being on a wait list, you will be seeing me when it's the right time for you. Remember, releasing the expectations of the how and the when, and just trusting that you've got the tools that I've created to help you along the way. If you get triggered, if you don't like my voice, if you don't like the messaging and the meditation, why? What's part of the self of you that doesn't like that? Go through the discomfort. And remember, there's other services too. Mini readings are for brief responses that you want to things. They're not about big, huge, what's my purpose and what are my spirit guides and past lives. I can't go into those in mini readings, because for me, there is a system in which I work to evaluate your soul, but they are perfect if you're needing just something to tie you over for now. And there's also your personalized meditations, which brings me so much joy doing them for you. I put in a new frequency that's going to upgrade you on the topic that you're either asked for, but most people ask me to choose what they need at that time. And if you need help renewing your app membership or becoming an app member, don't forget when you register, please check your spam folder, because you'll get an email from FreeVocal. The reason why we have this extra step is so that we don't have to put the app price up to 3 times the amount, because the app platforms take a huge amount, and I don't want to put that on you when there's another way. So yes, it's an extra step, but I actually see it that things that are easy, don't necessarily mean that we're fully committed. But when we have to do something, when there's an extra step, it's really showing our commitment. So Kieran's the person to ask if you need any help, and don't suffer in silence if you're having app issues. Please email her, soul33@gmail.com, and share in the group chat. Share your spiritual experiences, what's coming up for you in the meditations. Remember, you don't even need to be able to visualize. My energy is enough to be able to do what the meditation's asking of us without you needing to see. Commit to the process, commit to the homework, commit to learning more about yourself that you don't know, not validating what you do know. Okay, this week's Monday mantra: love is reignited, new from old connections are made. So listen to that again. Love is reignited, new from old connections are made. I saw the Lovers card when I sat down. And this is when I realized, like, oh, this is why I had to see Venus. I had to see the Archer. It's like Cupid, right? Are you going to hit or are you going to miss? So this is what I've got for you this week. Who will you be connecting with, new or old? Now, for me, that connection is I'm going to be connecting with my grandmother in spirit, because now this is a new way I'm going to be communicating with her and receiving her love. And I don't know how else this is going to transpire, because I'll be looking at it during the week just like you will be. There are different ways we are learning to connect, spiritually, physically, emotionally, intimately, all of those ways. This includes our connection with the spirit realm and the souls of others. This week is really about rising up to love. It's about taking the steps that we are being given, and that dance between soul and self, ego and personality is still happening to help us transcend beyond everything. Relationships need some reviewing, and some of you may need to let go of people, even close ones that don't serve you anymore. Chapters are closing for new ones to open, and the connections we have with people that we do want in our lives have the potential of deepening. As I mentioned to you, I know a million Virgos, very close friends, family members, my mother, all. So it's like this is deepening my relationship with the people that I love. Last week, many bridges were created. For my grandmother, a bridge to the other side. For me, the portals to go through to come back and teach you more. The synchronicities of everything lining up for me to be able to give you more and give myself more as a woman. And these upgrades for life and death to provide this continuous cycle of evolution. You know, these upgrades are in ways that have triggered these memories of the soul, triggered memories of the ego. So you need to choose, what are you going to do with them this lifetime? Are you going to move through them and beyond them and heal them? Or are you going to let them keep being an obstacle in your life? I saw my past show up last week. I saw it show up in the present, and I saw how it will impact my future for the things that I need to heal, and the things that are going to are teaching me something for my future. And I'll unfold that with you as I learn more things about what that will be and how I'll be working a bit differently for the future. You have to look very closely. You have to look without expecting. You have to look without thinking that you know everything, because even I don't know everything. Your heart will be feeling all kinds of things this week. It's amazing that I wrote this over a month ago, not knowing what was going to happen. But all it wants is to awaken to the space of being able to dream and create from a place of love. Interesting with that picture I put up, which they're showing me of the one I wrote about a little bit about my childhood. The graffiti on the wall was, "I love you so much." If your heart is open, you'll be receiving beautiful messages of love or signs and affirmations from the universe. Again, ancestral, we brought that up last week, I believe. Again, my grandmother. If your heart is needing work, there will be experiences to learn to accept, and knowing that you have the power to do it without them, while still keeping your heart open. So learning from people that you may not even have in your life anymore or want to have in your life before, but it's about coming back to keeping your heart open and knowing that the right people are coming in to collaborate with you, the right energies, the right experiences, and you'll have the skills to do what you need for now. We're given the upgrade of skills. Like, this is why I just feel like you're going to be given these steps this week and you need to rise up to take them. It's like there will be an extra piece of the puzzle that you're looking for given to you. And I've written here, which I find so interesting that I did this a month ago. It's like you're going to be asking for the opinion of an elder, an ancestor, or learning from history to stand your ground and reestablish your sense of self. There is a light that will show you the way. What does that mean for you? Where is the light coming in? I saw so many damn lights last week spiritually. And you are the flame that is burning very brightly, and the fuel will be given to you now. You're given fuel to burn your flame. Be receptive as to what this fuel is about, and be open to new love or reignited love. And remember, when we're not aligned, the opposite will be true, that you will get shaken in love because it's coming back to having to believe again. Love is the key to everything we choose or see this week. So be open to being loved, holding love, seeing love, and holding on to the outcome that you desire the most. Just take a moment now to close your eyes as I give you the frequency now of reignited love, to transcend beyond all physical heart pain, and to see yourself being in love with your life, being in love with the experiences that come in, understanding it all from a place of love, knowing that nothing is coming in to hurt us or destroy us. It's coming in to make us believe. Your Monday mantra is love is reignited, new from old connections are made. If you need me, email soul33@gmail.com. Thank you so much for sharing my journey with me too. See you all next week.